Disrupting Japan, Episode 82. Disrupting Japan is sponsored by Wall & Case. If you've ever tried to hire staff in Japan, you know how crazy it can be. I mean, there are over 3,000 recruiting firms here, and they're all telling you pretty much the same thing. Well, the guys at Wall & Case are different. When you're coming into Japan, they'll sit down and work out a long-term hiring strategy with you. Is it best to start with a country manager, or perhaps a head of partner sales? Maybe the first step is really a community manager. Now, I've known the team at Wall & Case for a long time, and they've worked with a lot of the companies that have been on this show and with some of the world's biggest brands as well. So if you're hiring in Japan, you really should talk to Wall & Case. Welcome to Disrupting Japan, straight talk from Japan's most successful entrepreneurs. I'm Tim Romero, and thanks for joining me. The medical industry is one of the world's most highly regulated and hard to disrupt, and for the most part, that's a good thing. But there are a number of innovative startups that have ways of improving things. Not disruptive change, mind you, but simple, more cautious, incremental change that will make life better for everyone. Holoeyes is one of those companies. And today we sit down with Naoji Taniguchi and we talk about how their VR solution is winning over doctors all over Japan and changing the way surgery is done. Holoeyes builds up a virtual reality model of organs from CT scans and lets doctors analyze and discuss these matters much more directly and efficiently than they could before. We'll get into the details during the interview. But one of the things that impressed me the most about Holoeyes is that it is already in use today. So much VR tech and so many VR companies have amazing wow factor, but only the promise of future applications. But you know, Naoji tells that story much better than I can. So let's hear from our sponsor and get right to the interview. Your journey to success in Japan will involve some twists and turns. In trying to navigate new terrain, planning the safest, most effective way through on your own can be overwhelming. The Carter Group have been using market intelligence and research to guide Japan entrants for decades. They've honed an agile, cost-effective, but consultative approach that will help you find the perfect product-market fit, explore user and consumer dynamics, and act as an honest broker to let you know the reputation and track record of potential partners here in Japan. And when you're ready to go, their executive search team can also help you hire the right people to drive your business forward. So if you haven't got Japan completely figured out yet, the Carter Group can help you out. So I'm sitting here with Naoji Taniguchi of Holoeyes.
Yeah.
This is an application that uses AR and VR for medical training, and thanks for sitting down with me.
Okay.
Can you tell me a bit more about the application and how it's used?
Holoeyes make customized model for each patient for VR and mixed reality. Our product helps communication between doctor, surgery team members, or training senior doctors, young doctors.
So, I mean, let's just walk through from start to finish how it's used. So how do you build up this VR model?
First, we use DICOM viewer. DICOM viewer is viewer of CT scan image. And now we are trying to use deep learning to automate, make polygon model from CT scan image.
Okay, so it's literally taking the CT scan and building up the VR image kind of slice by slice.
Yes.
All right, that makes sense. And then the doctors can use this to communicate and to show the model. Now, the demo I saw was basically viewing the model and using AR to like zoom in and to rotate. What is the application? What is the application for that? Would that be, for example, teaching?
Why we record 3D movement? I think 3D movement is very important for surgery. Before our product, doctors have to write in text some procedure of surgery. So it is very complex So using our product, doctors do surgical procedure with game controller and a headset mount display. They record the whole procedure of surgery.
So, for example, the lead surgeon could run through the entire operation with the surgical team before the surgery and said, this is what we're going to do, and everyone would be able to see it. And then when it comes time for the surgery, everyone understands.
Yeah. So it's like playback mode in car racing game.
Okay.
Do you know?
Yeah.
It's like that. And using VR, we can see the movement at any angle.
Okay, so it's also used after the surgery to evaluate how it went and if there were any problems. And Okay.
We will archive VR model on our cloud server. So we will be GitHub on surgery.
Okay.
So GitHub has open public repository. Also GitHub has private repository. So if patients consent to their data to be public.
Well, that's what I was asking about. Aren't there very strong laws all over the world about sharing patient data?
Yeah. So about patients, their objective is cure. The data is not important for them. But for doctors, it's a treasure.
Sure, yeah, it's extremely important. So far, have you found patients being very willing to share their data?
Nowadays, the data is thought about very personally, but we use Polygon. Polygon data don't have personal information, name or age or where the patient is living, address.
Okay, so if you reduce the model to polygons and take off all personal information, then it's fine. Oh, okay. So what platform are you using for this, both the hardware and the software side?
For hardware, we are using HTC Vive, using a Windows PC.
Okay.
And Microsoft HoloLens and smartphone. Those devices have a good point and bad point. For HTC Vive, it's a little bit expensive, but smartphone is very cheap, and everyone have. But HTC Vive can display very detailed polygon, high polygon model, and good position tracking.
Right.
But smartphone is very cheap, so we use cloud server to store our data, and those devices download those data. One is a high polygon for HTC Vive, and the other is a low polygon model for a smartphone.
Medical imaging is one of the most demanding and challenging areas for image processing.
Yeah.
The resolution has to be much, much higher than almost any other type of application. There's very little tolerance for the artifacts of lossy compression. So is the resolution of your VR models, is it high enough for medical use?
Some part is enough. For the river, we are providing like a map. It's not a photo. So we will use map to go the street.
Oh, okay. So it's really more of a reference and it's not a diagnostic tool. So it doesn't have to be that accurate.
Yeah. So we will show sick veins. So if we provide all veins in a river, doctors will confuse.
Right. Okay. Okay. That makes sense. A little later, I want to dive deeper into the application. But for now, let me ask you a bit about you and your co-founder. So your background is in physics and aeronautical engineering. And your co-founder, Sugimoto-san, is a surgeon.
Yes.
How did you two come together on this project?
I have a friend, he's working as an editor. The publisher has a very thick book for medical for families. The old data is digital. So he ordered me, could you some data service using the script data? I thought the script data of the book is like a database. During the project, I researched a lot of medical information, and I found an article of Sugimoto-san. He's saying modern medical needs 8K video image. So at that time, I'm doing a lot of interactive project. So I thought I'm interested and I thought we will get along well. I found his Twitter account.
Oh, okay.
And I mentioned him, and after that we talked together at Tokyo.
Oh, all right. Does he act more as an advisor, or is Sugimoto-san involved in the day-to-day operation of the company?
Yeah, day to day he does operation. So he uses our product at the hospital, and looking for doctors will use our product.
So right now you're still in the development phase. You haven't started charging for the use of Holoeyes yet, right? Can you tell me a bit about your users and your partners? Who's using Holoeyes today?
First customer is Dr. Sugimoto, and second is Bokuto Hospital in Tokyo. Third will be Sanno Hospital. He's a dentist. It is very useful to implant to set on a bone, jaw bones.
To have like a false tooth implanted.
Yeah.
Right. So is the main application now the planning of surgeries?
Yeah. First is planning surgery, and next is training tool or educational tool for young doctors.
So let's see, you were also part of the Recruit Holdings Accelerator.
Yes.
Was that valuable for you?
Yes. For medical, they don't do nothing. So because Recruit is not a medical company.
Right.
But our business is for medical, but our business model is internet technology company. So we are using cloud server, and we will stock our patients' data. We make value from the data. So it's like a...
So they helped you kind of understand how to make a business around it?
Yeah. And they introduced me some web media.
So it helped you with getting the word out,
yes.
Promotions and stuff. Okay. Getting back to Holoeyes, there are so many really cool VR, AR startups in Japan now. But what I want to ask is I can understand why Holoeyes is interesting.
Thank you.
And kind of fun to use. But what is the big problem that it solves?
Our body is 3D, but the doctors using 2D monitor. So it's a difference of dimension.
How would you measure if it's successful? So, for example, would it make surgeries go faster? Would it result in fewer surgical errors? What's like the real world benefit?
We don't have a quantitative assessment. Doctor saying very useful. Reduce training cost and reduce time to communicate. Surgery is teamwork.
Right.
So senior doctor and young doctor.
Okay, so the big problem it solves is it makes the planning for surgery faster, more accurate, and therefore cheaper.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Our goal is making archive of patient data. So it's make big value for our archives. So it helps Asian countries to grow up young doctors.
Oh, right. So doctors in poorer countries that don't have access to cadavers and can use this and train more quickly. That makes sense. But so is your goal with the modeling, are you trying to develop a complete anatomical map of the human body? Or are you also trying to model very specific, this particular tumor?
Yes.
This particular, kidney tumor.
Yeah.
So both.
First, we focus the particular organs, liver and kidney or jaws. There's a lot of patients.
Well, sure. It's, every startup knows you need to start with a niche.
Yes.
So you start with the liver, you start with the jaw. The jaw makes sense for dentistry. But why liver and kidney?
Liver and kidney is static organ.
Static?
Yeah. For example, heart is always moving.
Oh.
Very soft.
So it's easy to get a good scan.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the scan and now CT scan chain can scan heart, but it's just snapshot.
So liver and kidney was a technological reason.
Yes, very static organ.
Right now, one of the main limitations you mentioned was processing power for the computers and for the smartphones. And every year that's getting better and better.
Yes.
And cheaper. So hopefully time and Intel will solve that problem for you.
Yeah, I think so.
But on the input side, with moving organs like the heart and the lungs, is that something you think technology will be solving for you in the next few years?
Yes, I think so. So performance of CT scan is getting better, and technology for taking scan is getting better because CT scan makers' goal and our goal is same. So the goal is more clear image, or they want to find turners by imaging.
Today's CT scans are very detailed.
Yes.
So you can see, very tiny veins throughout the liver, for example. So just out of curiosity, how much memory is required to store your 3D model of, say, the liver?
Not so big.
Really?
Yeah. Today's video data on YouTube is more bigger. So big.
Okay.
And CT scan image is just a grayscale image. Good scan, it's 0.2 millimeter pitch. It's limited. It's smaller than some movie.
Okay. All right. So definitely in the range of what smartphones can handle.
Yeah.
Now, before we were talking about kind of the next step application, which is kind of debriefing after surgery and taking 3D movies of surgeries in progress. Last year in April 2016, an English doctor, I believe, was the first person who broadcast a surgery recorded in virtual reality.
So it's a 360 movie. It's not 3D. Using 3D is we will see depth.
So the surgery last year simply used a 360 degree virtual reality camera. But what you're talking about is actually making 3D models of what happens during the surgery itself.
Taking 360 video is very easy today. There are a lot of solution on camera.
But before you were mentioning that your technology could also be used after surgeries.
And before.
And before. So how would it be used after? Would you just build another model from a new CT scan?
So doctors have to write a report of surgery. Using our tool, doctors
So they could use your tool in the same way as before the surgery. They use the tool to explain what's going to happen. They can use the same tool to explain what they did and any surprises they had. Okay. So does your tool have an ability for annotations?
Yes.
So it can connect directly into the tools the doctors already use?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Doctors can draw a line on 3D virtual space, or doctors can put voice notation to 3D space.
Okay. So in that way, someone reviewing the surgery would actually be able to see the virtual reality representation with the doctor's comments and notes and annotations as they go through.
Yes.
I can see that being a huge benefit. Do you think that Holoeyes would also be used in actual surgical training?
Yeah, I think so.
So I noticed, for example, Stanford has a project which is virtual reality training, and they actually have like haptic feedback for the fingers. Is that a direction you're thinking of moving into?
Yes, it's one direction. Nowadays, doctors are doing laparoscope. Do you know?
Laparoscopic.
Yeah. So
the little tiny cameras.
Yes. Or robotic surgery, so they can't touch directly, only use instrument. So now we are focusing that, because nowadays laparoscopic is very important because it's less harm to patients.
Right, you don't have to cut them open.
Yes.
So of all the potential, so far, what have the doctors found most appealing? What are your users most excited about?
Precision 3D structure image and reducing time, and sharing their successful surgery to other doctors or patients.
Okay, so it is that planning and review functionality.
Yes.
Medical devices and hospital equipment is some of the most strictly regulated in the world. And that's a good thing.
Yeah,
So have you had to get special licenses or approvals?
not because our tool is not diagnosis tool.
Uh-huh. Well, that's true. It's not a diagnostic, it's not treatment, but it's being used as a medical record.
Yes, it's like Excel and on PC.
Oh, okay. Well, I never thought of it that way. Okay. So it doesn't need any special...
Yes.
All right.
And the other reason we not get a license is for speed for development. We are using gaming technologies. Unity, it's a game engine.
Right.
And HTC Vive is originally for VR game. Gaming technologies, evolution of gaming technology is very high.
Well, yeah. I mean, gaming technology has been pushing the edge of PC performance since the beginning since the first PC, right?
Yeah. First game on iPhone 3G is very poor, but nowadays high quality Android and iPhone 7's game is very beautiful.
That's true. Let's talk a bit about Japan in general.
Okay.
Even if you don't need any specific license or certifications to use your technology for medical records, the medical profession in Japan is very conservative.
Yes, I think so.
So do you find doctors and hospitals willing to work with the new technology, or is there a lot of resistance?
Sugimoto-san is doctor, so he loves technologies, and he is always searching new technology outside medical.
Having Sugimoto inside pushing the new technology helps, I'm sure, but he's one doctor.
Yeah, so I think every industry is same. Some game developer interested in medical, some doctor are interested in interactive technology. So some scientists are interested in digital technology.
I don't know. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I think there's a big gap between being interested and paying money and making part of the workflow. So what advice do you have to other startups who want to sell to hospitals and doctors?
Yes, the important thing is my co-founder, Sugimoto-san, is a doctor. Connection with doctor is very close. They hear a lot of information only doctors.
So the advice is have a doctor as an advisor or someone who's
yes.
very excited and an advocate about your technology.
So out of other startups in Japan, in medical, a member of co-founder is doctor. For example, there's a startup, its name is MediWeb.
Oh, I know MediWeb well.
Yeah,
That's right, their founder is a doctor.
Yeah, so they have own clinic.
Okay. My impression is that it's very unusual for doctors to be working with startups in Japan. But is it happening more and more now? Is there a lot of doctors doing this?
Yeah, I think so. Because life plan of doctor is very static.
That's true.
Some doctor have questions. Some young doctor has question. Holoeyes has intern. He is young doctor. He hear about Sugimoto-san and he contact to me, and I taught how to use Unity and how to build application on Microsoft HoloLens.
So is he working with you guys now?
Yes.
Oh, excellent. Oh, that is excellent. That's really encouraging. When do you plan to start charging for Holoeyes, and do you know about what the pricing is going to be?
Beginning of next year. This year is marketing and development. So research with hospital, and the hospital present a paper at academic conference with us.
Excellent.
Yeah, so it is way to get a key person in medical.
Have you decided the pricing for the Holoeyes system yet?
Now I'm considering.
Okay. It sounds like you'll have an opportunity to use a very SaaS-like approach where it's a low-cost subscription, like charge per seat per user.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, listen, before we wrap up, I want to ask you what I call my magic wand question. So, and that is, if I gave you a magic wand and I said you could change one thing about Japan, anything at all. So the way people think about risk, the education system, the legal system, the medical system, anything at all to make it better for startups in Japan, what would you change?
I want to change businessman to think more positive.
To have businessmen think more positively?
Yeah. So when I show a demo for a middle-aged businessman, they always tell about risk or luck. Or I always know. I want to hear about good solution from him.
That's a really good point. Yeah. I agree. I've been in so many meetings where everyone will basically go around the room and say, here's why I think it won't work, and here's why I think it won't work. Almost no one comes up with one idea of like, oh, this might improve it, right? No, that's a great answer. I think that would be a huge benefit.
Yeah. I already know about negative things.
Right. So instead of giving just negative ideas, also give positive ideas.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Okay, excellent. Well, listen, thank you so much for sitting down and talking to me today.
Okay, you're welcome.
KotoWork is doing something pretty cool. It's a community of Japanese language students who want to work at Japanese companies with global ambitions. KotoWork also trains them in business culture, Japanese hospitality, and a bit of global marketing. And since it's a real community, KotoWork is always there for both candidates and companies to solve cultural misunderstandings and the hundreds of other little problems that can come up when foreigners work for a Japanese company. KotoWork has a wonderful, long-term, community-based approach to making sure everything runs smoothly, and you should really check them out at kotowork.jp. And we're back. I was pleasantly surprised at how interested in trying new startup technology Japanese hospitals and doctors are. Medicine is a conservative industry everywhere in the world, but in Japan it's particularly so. Of course, the fact that the other half of the Holoeyes founding team, Sugimoto-san, is a doctor, makes that acceptance a lot easier, both by giving Naoji and the rest of the developers a resident domain expert, but also somewhat validating the product in the eyes of the medical establishment. Oh, and Naoji also wanted me to point out that the importance of being able to run this system on smartphones was not that their business model revolved around smartphone use, but because designing for a relatively low-spec device enables the greatest future flexibility and opportunities for them. But really, I think Holoeyes has two things that most VR startups lack. First, they have an existing user base that is using their system today to do the job it was designed to do. And second, they are solving a very specific problem in a way that their users agree is a huge step forward. 5 years from now, it's almost impossible to imagine surgeons not using a system like Holoeyes to more accurately plan and document their surgeries. If you have a great idea about how VR should be used in medicine, Naoji and I would love to hear from you. So come by disruptingjapan.com/show082 and tell us about it. And when you come by the site, you'll see all the links and notes that Naoji and I talked about and much, much more in the resources section of the post. And before we go, I want to tell you a bit about our sponsors. No, don't worry. We're done with the ads for today. But over the past few months, I've had a number of people comment that I seem a little too effusive in my praise of our sponsors. Now, of course, their sponsorship is what allows me to introduce you to all these amazing founders. But more than that, all of our sponsors really do contribute to the community here. And yes, I've turned down a couple of companies that I didn't feel were a good fit. So hey, check them out, drop by their sites, and let them know that you heard about them here. But most of all, thanks for listening. And thank you for letting people interested in Japanese startups know about the show. I'm Tim Romero, and thanks for listening to Disrupting Japan. Disrupting Japan is a proud member of the Japan Podcast Network. It's a community of some of the best audio content about Japan. So if you're looking for other high-quality podcasts about Japan, check out the other shows in the Japan Podcast Network.